Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, this is MLS Ireland does predictions for week 32. I think there's only like 3 weeks left, so stay tuned. Perfect, thank you very much for joining me. Yes, my name is Sean and you're watching MLS Ireland does predictions for week 32. Yes, and if you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. Yep, there is only probably like 3 or 4 games left, and so that means there's only like 3 or 4 weeks left. So getting excited, and there is a couple of teams that are already through. That is like Philadelphia, Montreal, and Austin. I think got through on the Eastern, and on the Western is I think Los Angeles and Austin got through, and Montreal, New York Red Bulls, and Montreal are the teams that got through. So it is getting interesting, and there's a lot of 2 teams still in just a couple of points that could really make it. Like, to be fair, Toronto can make it. They won't, but they can. I think they get their signings a wee bit too late over the line. But saying that, anybody's guess who can make it in. Seattle have a chance. They have like 4 games left, I believe, to play. They have 4 games to play. It's Vancouver, Cincinnati, Sporting Kansas City, and San Jose Earthquakes. All games that are winnable. So, again, this is MLS, and God knows what can happen tomorrow. So, because like Los Angeles have only won the one in the last 6, and that was against Real Salt Lake. They haven't won a game since. I think they're probably one of the worst in the league at the moment in the last 6 in form. So. Funnily enough, when I was looking through the form sheets there, every team has won a game in the last 6. I don't think any team has like drew any. I think there was one team that was drawing a whole lot and then just won a game. I can't remember who it was, but that shows you how mental this MLS season is. So might as well crack on with the first game. That is New York City FC against New York City Red Bull. This one's going to be a good one. Hudson River Derby. It's going to be on at a good time here. I think 8 o'clock. So this is going to be an interesting game. New York City FC playing quite badly at the moment. I know they won during the week there and beat New England Revel. New York. They won some cup game anyway. But they got beaten by Charlotte. Drew against Cincinnati. Got beaten by New England, DC United, and Orlando. Not very good. Whereas Red Bull have only lost to 1 in the last 6, and that was against Philadelphia, who, let's face it, Supporter Shield winners, the way things are going. So congratulations to them. But anyway, nobody really seen LAFC. But anyway, I digress. I'll come to that in a minute. Okay, chill out. So saying that, New York City at home, you would think this one is where they need to win and where it's going to spur them on to get this win and all that kind of stuff, whereas Red Bull don't really care. They're kind of already made it into the playoffs basically. So it is an interesting one. I'm going to go for like a 1-1. I do think these 2 teams coming into this game are capable of getting a good result out of this. New York City at home, but they're playing awful at the moment, playing awfully as a county. And New York Red Bull are playing very well, but I think the occasion will get to New York City FC and probably try and get a good result out of this one. So I'm going to go for a 1-1. The next one is Atlanta against Philadelphia. God, love Atlanta now. They're going to get plumbed. But anyway, Atlanta at home haven't got a bad record. They've only lost to 3, which is not too bad. In the last 4 games, they've only lost to 1 and won 3, so that's pretty impressive. Whereas Philadelphia has lost 2 and won 2 away from home in the last 4. So these 2 teams are coming in probably very identical form. But the way Philadelphia are playing at the moment, their last away game, 2 away games against Red Bull and DC United, 2 games you would have expected them to win. Obviously, they beat DC United 6-0. But New York Red Bull away from home was a pretty good result. Beating Orlando 5-1 was a fantastic result. So, and the game before that was a 4-1 win against Atlanta. So you can probably see where this one is probably going to go. I'm going to go for like a 3-1 win to Philadelphia. Just for the fact is because they're just better than Atlanta. And Atlanta don't have really many defenders at the moment. Good players, but I just think time for a change. I think that whole team needs a reboot again. So yeah, 3-1 win to them. The next one is New England Revolution against CF Montreal. I pronounced that correctly, didn't I? Just rolls off the tongue. New England, who aren't doing very well. They're 20th in the league, only won the one in the last 6, and that was against New York City FC. Like, fuck. Sorry. Got beaten by Houston, New York Red Bull, LA Galaxy, Montreal again. So, got beaten by 4-0. Montreal beat them 4-0. So, saying that Montreal have only lost the one in the last, and that was against Red Bull. They drew against Columbus Crew. Beat Chicago Fire, Toronto, Chicago Fire again. So yeah, and beat New England 4-0. This is going to be an interesting one. I think for the fact is because Montreal already through, New England really need to win this one to even have a chance of getting into the playoffs. I think they're going to be more up for this game. I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win to New England. Just as I said, they're going to be up for it. I don't know. I can't really say that their fans are going to be up for it because there's only going to be about 20 there. I know it's not 20, but you know what I mean. In this huge stadium, it's sort of like the stadium's like 10% full. I know it's a big stadium, but it's not really great. Look, they really do need their own stadium, to be fair, and I would say it'd be excellent. The next one is Orlando against Toronto. Orlando, who are 13th, who were doing very well till they got beaten by Philadelphia, and then they got beaten by Atlanta 1-0. Which isn't very good for them. And they're coming up against a Toronto team who desperately need to win this game. They're scoring goals. Like, I think when the two players came in, they started attacking a bit better and everybody had a bit more confidence. And then when the games kind of went through their own phases, they basically went, all teams went, we could let them score, but we know we can outscore them. And that's what happened. Montreal beat them 4-3 and Atlanta beat them 4-2. Not great, I know, in the grand scheme of things. And they're away at home against an Orlando team who are not bad at home. Granted, they've won half of their games. 1-7, they've got beaten 8 at home. Didn't hear that. So saying that, Toronto have only won 2 games away from home, and that was in the last 4. Their season's been dreadful. I'm going to go for like a 2-all, just for the crack. Toronto really do need to get a win in this. If they draw, that's game over, season's over basically. But I think it's going to be a draw. Sorry, Toronto. I'm a Toronto top, and their team is just... Sorry. Chicago Fire against Charlotte. Now, Charlotte started off the season fantastically at home, not great away. They've only won the 2, and granted, the one they won away last time was a complete shocker. Nobody really expected that. Who was it against? It was New York City FC, and then they beat New York City FC again last week, 6 days ago, in fact. And now they're coming up against the Chicago Fire team, who started off the season badly, started to get picking up things. Now are playing badly. They've only won the one in the last 6, and that was against Inter. A good result, to be fair. Inter not a bad team, but then they got beaten by Montreal 3-2. Again, not a bad team because Montreal were at home. So not too bad. When you think about it, it's probably going to be a 2-0. I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to Chicago. I think they probably have the better players in Charlotte away from home. Like I said the last time, when they're playing against New York City FC, they don't really win that much. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 2-0. Sporting Kansas City against Minnesota United. Sporting Kansas City, who are not bottom, congratulations to them. They've only lost the 1 in the last 6, and that was against Austin. They beat Portland, San Jose Earthquakes, drew Galaxy Houston, and beat DC United. Beat DC United. So it could be, pretty good. And they're coming up against the Minnesota team, who are 10th. Last 4 weren't great. Got beaten by Real Salt Lake, Dallas, and Portland, and drew against LAFC, who it's hard to tell. They're not playing great at the moment. So they're coming up against a good San Jose Earthquakes team, who are not a good, in form. Let's put it at that. Teams are probably around. They beat Portland quite convincingly, so that's where I'm trying to go put my thinking hat on. But then they only beat Earthquakes by 1. So not great, but I do think it is going to be I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Sporting Kansas City. Just they're in a good reign of form. I know Minnesota do need to win this game to really secure themselves into the playoffs. Yeah, they're 6th and they are quite tight, but I think they can drop 1 or 2 points, so it's not too bad. So yeah, 2-1 win to Sporting Kansas City. The next one is Austin, who are 2nd in the Western, 4th overall, who against Nashville, who are 8th overall. Austin only won 2 in the last 6. Real Salt Lake and LAFC, pretty good results. Beaten by Seattle, Nashville, Portland, and Minnesota. 3 of them were away from home, so this is going to be a good game for them to get back on track against the Nashville team, who've only lost 1 in the last 6. Granted, their last game they played LA Galaxy 1-1. Probably could have lost that one, to be fair. Beaten Austin last 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. 3-0. So it is going to be an interesting one. A lot of teams are playing each other, even though they only played each other a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, I digress. I think Austin may actually probably sneak this one. I'm going to go for like a 1-0 win. Austin at home, they are a good team. They're scoring a lot of goals, but I think this one's going to be get the 3 points and get the hell back in that hotel to home, basically. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a 1-0 win to Austin. The next one, Real Salt Lake, against FC Cincinnati. Now, Real Salt Lake are always a strange team. They've only won the 1 game in the last 6, and that was at the start of the month, and that was against Seattle. That was against Minnesota. It got beaten by Austin, drew against DC, beaten by LAFC, drew against Dallas and Vancouver. Not great. And then they're playing a team who's directly below them, who haven't lost a game in the last 6, so congratulations to them. Beaten San Jose Earthquakes 6-0, which, albeit fair play to them, nobody really seen that coming, I don't think. So they're coming into this with a bit of form. Their away record isn't in particularly good shape. I think they've only won, how many? They've only won 4 away. Granted, they've only lost 4, but they kind of drew a lot. Whereas Real Salt Lake won 8, drew 5, and lost 2. So not too bad. It's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to go for like a 2-all just for the crack. It's going to be a fun game. Real Salt Lake probably full of goals in this one, and Cincinnati really full of goals. So yeah, I'm going to go for that one. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. 2-all for the crack. Go for it. The next one is Vancouver against Seattle. Vancouver 21st. Vancouver beat LA Galaxy 3-0, which was a bit of a shock because I thought LA Galaxy were starting to pick things up, but got beaten by Colorado, San Jose, and Nashville. Not good. And where they're playing a Seattle team who've won their last 2 against Austin and Houston, so they're beating Texan teams. But are they going to beat a Canadian team or a Cascadia team? So it's going to be like a wee Cascadia derby, but I thought Portland's already won, so this is probably not really much happening into it. Vancouver should possibly get a good result of this. They have a very good record at home, whereas Seattle have only won 3 away from home, and they haven't won a game in the last 4 away from home, whereas Vancouver won 3 and lost 1. Saying that, I do think Seattle probably win this game. This is around the time of the season where they start picking up points to get into the playoffs, and I do think they have a chance. Maybe not, but anyway. The next one is Galaxy against Colorado Rapids. Colorado Rapids only won 1 game away from home, lost 10, drew 4. In the last 4, they've only drew 1 and lost 3. Not great. LA Galaxy is 1-2 and then drew 2 at home in the last 4. So LA Galaxy have the capabilities of getting a good result in this one. They only won 1 game in the last 6, and that was against New England away from home. They drew with Nashville, Kansas City, and Toronto, all 2-2, 2-2, and 1-1, 1-1. Never mind. So it was like, it was like 3-all against Seattle. It was like 2-all against Toronto, and it was 2-all against Sporting Kansas City, and then it was 1-all against Nashville, and then they got beaten by Vancouver, where I thought they would have actually done it better, but never mind. It's LA Galaxy. They're stupid. So Colorado Rapids, they're always a team that I can't bloody pick out in this. So yeah, beaten Vancouver and Seattle at home, granted, and away from home they haven't been great. Beaten by Philadelphia, Nashville, and drew against DC United. this is probably one where you think Galaxy should win. So I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to LA Galaxy because they're at home and they should really, really win this one. You think, wouldn't you? Yeah. Let me know down in the comments. Do you think? Anyway, San Jose Earthquakes, who haven't drew a game, and quite weirdly, a lot of teams draw against FC Dallas. Strangely enough, in the last 2 home games to beat LAFC and Vancouver 2-1, 2-0, but away from home they haven't been great. Granted, they're playing at home against a Dallas team who lost 1 in the last 6, drew 1 in the last 6 and won 4, beating Philadelphia, San Jose Earthquakes, Minnesota and LAFC 2-1. So they're coming into this one with a bit of form, beating their last away game was a win against Minnesota. Granted, they got stuffed by Nashville. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think things can change, but the way San Jose Earthquakes are playing at home, it is pretty impressive. But I don't know. 2-1 win to San Jose Earthquakes. I think their home record is probably picking up a wee bit, whereas Dallas probably have their minds elsewhere. I think they really should be getting a good result in this one to get into the playoffs, but I think they're just going to. I think they know they've got it basically. So that's my thinking. Columbus Crew against Portland Timbers. Oh God, many goddamn games. Columbus Crew. Only the one win in the last 6, and that was against Inter. They lost against Inter then last 3 or 4 days ago. So this is going to be all over the place, and they're kind of playing against the Portland team who are 9th and won their last 4: Minnesota, Atlanta, Austin and Seattle, which is pretty impressive. So fair play to them, but this is going to be a away game, so when you think about it, they beat Austin away from home, so that's a good result. And they're going to be against the Columbus Crew team who haven't really done well away from home. Oh, at home, sorry, as well, to be fair. So I'm going to go for like a 1-1-all. I think that's fair. I think these 2 teams are probably well matched, and Portland away from home are okay, but I do think it's going to be a good game. So yeah, I'm going to go for like a stick with that 1-1. The next one is DC United against Inter. DC United, who are bottom with Wayne Rooney probably still going to be there next year. Well, I'd like to see him there next year, but they really do need defense. Just their defense is dreadful, and they're playing against an Inter Miami team who have a very good attacking sense, very good attacking team. Beaten New York City, beaten Toronto, but then beaten by Red Bull, Columbus Crew, Chicago, and then beaten by Columbus Crew. Sorry, they beat Columbus Crew at home. So they're coming up against the DC United team. I'm going to go for like a 2-1 win to Inter. Phil Neville coming up against an old teammate and Wayne Rooney, ex-Man United and ex-Everton captains, funnily enough. So yeah, it's going to be a good one. I think Inter probably have the better players and better, not better manager. Well, no, DC United probably have the better manager. But anyway, the last one is LAFC against Houston Dynamo. Ooh. I'm stuck now with LAFC. I haven't got a clue what they think, what they're going to be doing. They are at home. They should probably get a good result in this one. Houston Dynamo aren't great away from home. They've only won 2 in the last 6, and that was against LAFC, against New England as well. So they were both at home, and away from home they've been dreadful. So I think this is going to be a good one for LAFC to get back on track. They've only won the 1 game in the last 6, and that's not very good form coming into the last 6. Into the playoffs. So, but saying that, I'm going to go for like a 2-0 win to LAFC because they are still a pretty good team and Houston aren't. So those were my predictions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit that like, subscribe, whatever people say, and I hope to see you in the next one. So yeah, bye.